You know what I don't miss? 1984 shag carpeting. Oh! And you know, if you like 1984 shag carpeting, just because you buy a can of glue doesn't mean you got to use every last little drip of glue that's in that can. Would you, son of a... The whole point to what I'm doing here is we got a puppet show hole here. Hole for the old puppet show. I got one of them. The old customator, he cut teeth out of an old pair of doors. This is actually bigger than this because there's other. I cut her down. So, what might grab you by the boo-boo when you're trying to do this stuff is they made 85,622 of these doors every year, and no two of them are the same. They come out of the same stamp, wah-bang, but when they come flipping out of that stamp, they're all different. Because this door here, like this line here is it's pretty good all the way around. This door that I come out of, my piece here, so I ran my sander over it to get the edges of my profiles for when I'm trying to line it up here, because I ran her through the old, what do you call the dude over there, what is it? What the hell? Oh, my blasting cabinet, that's what it is. So I ran a piece of paper around there so I can catch the profile. See how that's shiny? So that'll help the liner up here. Point being, as you see here, see how that line goes away? Because, I mean, this body line here is like it's dead flat there. And this carried on, this far. And that line disappeared in that corner. It's almost gone down here, too. It's not bad here. Oh, it does go away here. It's almost right gone there, too. It's not a dent. It's just the way it happened. I've already done this to the other door. Same gig. The lines disappeared here and there in the door. Way she goes, boys. Way she goes. So you want to line that up. One of the first things that you notice in these doors is it's wider here than it is here. So you want to make sure that you got that, right? Hey? Yeah. So you stand back here and give it a look. What I actually can do here as well, to estimate if I'm close, here's the piece I cut off the bottom. So if I line that up there, that tells me that this piece wants to be about there. Then it's a matter of getting that edge straight. So what I'm going to need to do is stand back here and get the whole big picture. How's that? What do you think? Are we there? Oh yeah, that's the stuff. So I could go around that and with a pen and make a cut line around it, but why? Huh? Why? I'll wing around it with the actual cutter. Cutting and strutting. Yeah, boy. I reckon. And then I fix him. Oh, that's the stuff. Here's a tip, kids. When you use a wheel and you give her a good whacking, it leaves a little, I don't know what it leaves. What does it leave? What do you call it? What do you call what it leaves? It leaves a little, there's an edge of steel. Here, can you see this? Here, I'll pick that off. See that? So it leaves a little, like a little flange of steel around the inside. Go around that with a grinder. Same with these. I should have showed you. I'm leaving that like that because that's original and it's like that here, so who cares? But you can see here, you can see that silver line, that's where I went around with a grinder. Reason being, ooh, see, there's a good one. See that guy? You see it? See, look at it. Look at it! Reason being, if you come inside here with something, like I'm going to use these guys, and these guys work, if you ain't never seen these before, they're called panel clamps. And I mean, they don't work everywhere, and they're not always handy, but when they are handy, they're pretty damn handy. So the way that these little doodads work is you put that in place, you put that there, then this guy here will slide through there from the inside, and then you tighten up the old winger, and it'll draw that up like that, and it'll give them a good pinching. Oh! But if you got some hoojamafuzz hanging down on the inside there, well, this thing, it ain't gonna get flat there. And the whole parent behind these things is to mount her flush. So yeah, what I'm getting at is you gotta clean that off on the inside. You see people doing it, but I don't know if anybody ever tells you why they're doing it. That's why you're doing that. Nice thing about these too is if you put this all the way around, then it gives you an even gap all the way around that you're gonna wind up welding to. Everybody likes an even gap, don't they? So yeah, you kind of got to do this by gosh and by golly and stuff. If you can even get your fat tong under here, well, I can't. So yeah, that guy's gonna go there. Oh, don't do that now. Come on now, work with me here, just a little bit. Yeah. Then as you tighten up Mr. Wing Knut, see how nice that works? Aww. Aww. Holy jumpins. Here, let's get that a little closer. Where are you? Get in there, would you? Do you cool your welds or don't you? Hey, I don't know. Everybody says something different. Do whatever the hell you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't give a shit what you do. If you cool them or not, I don't care. I'll tell you what I do. I'll tell you what I know, because I know some stuff. The weld shrinks, right? It's a liquid. The weld's a liquid steel. As that liquid solidifies, it shrinks. And when it shrinks, it pulls the metal. 85% of the warpage you get comes from that. You might get some warpage from the... What the hell was that? You might get some warpage from big heat in the panel, but holy shit, you're doing a lot of welding to get that. Whether or not I cool my welds, that all depends on where I'm welding and how much of a hurry I'm in. Like an area like where I done a bunch of fixing in these corners of the doors, I'll cool my welds there just to get going. Smaller places where it's a little more locked in, I don't always. Sometimes I will hit the weld and let it sit. Wait till that cherry goes away and then kind of cool the surrounding area. A bigger piece that I'm putting in somewhere, I don't cool them. Just let them sit. It takes a little bit longer to do it, but set yourself up so you got something else to do while you're waiting. So you can run a whole, you can run a fair bit of welds around there. And then I won't come back and I won't put no more welds on there until I can touch it. Might still be warm, but not hot. You know what I'm saying to you? And just let it cool naturally. If you watch videos on how to do metal work, to shrink a panel, are you listening? You heat it up with a torch till you got a cherry on it. It swells up. Then you take a hammer and a dolly and you smash that together while it's still hot and swelled up. Then whatever you use to cool it, I use compressed air. If you use water, whatever, you can watch that sucker shrink as you cool it, right? So it swells up when you cool it, it shrinks. So when you're doing that, when you're welding, and that's puffed up a little bit from the weld, if you hit that and shrink it, well, it's fast, it's going to perform the same way. And because it's going faster, it's going to pull it harder and tighter. Whereas if you just let that guy go back down to the way it came, to the way it started, from whence it came, you got a better chance. I'm not saying that it always works. I'm just saying you got a fighting chance then. So it takes a little bit of time, but what are you going to do? That's the way the old cookie bounces. Something when I'm doing this kind of work, for my first startup, I wear, well, it doesn't even say on them. I believe these would be like TIG welding gloves. They're very thin. Oh, so thin. Oh, they're just, oh, so nice and smooth. You can feel stuff through that. I can feel that. Big fat old mitts, big Kermit the Frog, Fozzie Bear. Who am I looking for? Oscar the Grouch. That's the guy. Big Oscar the Grouch mitts on there. You can't feel nothing. You couldn't feel the double D in a wool sweater. But with these you can. So I'm pretty good there. I'll start with a big gap because that gap's a little bit wider there than in other places. So that as it cools and it pulls it, I'm going to allow it to float a little bit and pull a little bit. If I started somewhere where it's smaller and tighter and then put a big weld there, well, they're going to be fighting each other and it's going to have to sacrifice something. You know what I'm saying? Did I even turn you on? Oh yeah, you're going. I don't mean that way. Oh, son of a bitch. I just about welded my... Never mind. I hate trying to weld without my shield on. So let me go get it. Oh, that's the stuff. Yeah, boy. How's it look from where you're at? Looks pretty good from where I'm at. I think that's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And like I said, it takes a few more minutes to do it like that, but I mean, you get down here, we're there. I know it's kind of hard to tell from but that's about as flat as, probably shouldn't make any comments about anybody's sister, anybody's cousin's sister, but that's about how flat that is. So I got some business to do here, some little dents and dinks and doinks and whatnot to fix here. I've already done this to the other door. It's waiting for me to finish this door so I can prime the two of them up. And I am waiting for the customer to decide on just exactly what kind of a color he wants. The truck's going to be gray and red, like, I don't know, charcoal gray, you know, metallic charcoal gray, and ruby, pearly kind of red. You know, the 66 it's got. In a video in past tense, I laid the trim out, so in the scrape and the trim, red, roof, red, and I'm going to try to talk him into doing the inside of the truck red. What I would do to do that is I would cut it like right along this edge of the door, that line that goes all the way around the door, and then the inside here would be red, and then the sides, the jambs, you know what I'm saying to you, would be gray. So that's what I'm going to try to talk him into doing on this, because I think that'd be quite nice. Quite nice. That's quite nice. So I don't know. There it is. What do you think?